women in the society enslave men for power and for manipulation. Women know that in order to control a man figure, all I need to do is to introduce a thought in his head, because the thought is the center of the senses. And introducing a thought in Isaac's head, I will be controlling him, because that will allow all his senses not to operate fully, for it will limit or control how his senses operates. And Isaac needs to operate on all the 5 senses for Isaac to be at peace, to make the right decisions, to do things in the right way, to put himself first, and to eventually win. Have you identified that nowadays we have a lot of attractive women? We have fillers, injections, makeup, like everything she's doing on her body, it will introduce a thought in Isaac's head, which will make Isaac or cause Isaac to worry or have anxieties, think about something. And that is how she is going to control you. I don't care. I can only introduce a thought in your head so that you can act on that thought. For that will benefit me as Hannah. You know, nowadays it's so hard for a guy to get himself a lady. Most women are successful, they are demanding a lot, and they are so sexually attractive. And the thought is the word which is attractive, which gives you a feeling of worry if you can end up with a lady that you really admire. For her presence makes you feel in a certain way, and you will do anything to get her commit to you. This is a very personal conversation and a unique one that I need you to pay close attention to it, but to also understand it in a form of self-protection. I only need to understand how to control your senses for me to act in a certain way, so that your senses can never be fully present and you can never be happy, for you are always worrying about something. Getting the best lady because she showed up consistently and she was sexually attractive. Her eyes was popping out, her tits were popping out, and she was really attractive that you really admired her. She was attractive, you really admired her, is the thought that you need to have in your brain, in your mind, for you to finally have a worry, have a feeling that I really want to make a move on her and admire her. The senses need to operate on a foundation of removing the thought in it itself for you to operate on a higher standard as Isaac and be happy. This is somehow complicating, because it's a psychological structure that I want you to see things in. This will allow you to be ahead of women in society. There is some water inside this object, so you can see. Doesn't confirm that this is water, but there is water inside here. I want you to observe the water that is in this object. Just observe. You're not fully present. That is the problem. Your senses are not fully present. Okay, Let me have a different conversation so that we can be on the same page. Let's try to do things differently so that we can all move ahead. Now let's do this. Picture yourself observing a sea full of water. And you can see a sea full of water. You can hear the waves. You can see how blue it is. You can hear even the chirping of the insects. Stand still. Stand still. Don't think about anything. Just observe. Listen to the waves of the water and observe as it is. Can you get that feeling? The beauty of that sea? Can you see it? Yeah. Your senses right now are fully present, fully functioning. They are even heightened. Why? Because there is no thought. You are just looking at it as it is, and that is how you are supposed to observe women. Her tits are popping out, her eyes are popping out. You shouldn't introduce a thought which will mess up with your senses. Just observe her without a thought. The question is there any movements of all your senses without the thought itself? Because that is what women use to control you men, by dressing in a certain way, causing you worry about the future. Are your senses fully present without a thought? Then you are fucked. We all know we have 5 senses. At least that is the proof that exists. But some philosophers talk about 22 senses or 23 senses. But let's talk about the 5 senses that we know, which involves tasting, seeing, smelling, touching. Touching involves feeling, obviously. So touching, you touch someone, then they feel it or you feel it. And then there is balance. Those are the 5 senses that at least we think exist. Most women only want you to test and then insert a thought. You test, okay, you want to eat a sweet. You eat a sweet, when there is a thought, you will want another one. You eat it again, when there is a thought, you will eat another one. When there is a thought, it controls or limits all your senses. Because when there is a thought after eating a sweet, you will want it again because you thought about it. But when you enjoy the sweet and taste it without introducing a thought of, I want it again, you won't want it again because your senses are fully present. And that is why we have women who dress in a certain way, act in a certain way, try to act like they like you that much more. Even when you end up sleeping with them and you don't want to date them for a long-term relationship, they end up showing again so that you can have a thought of wanting her again. So she is controlling your senses, and you will worry if you will get her tomorrow, if she will be present, and you're not fully living at peace. You are on a worry. Will she give me the same pleasure tomorrow? Because of the thought. She showed up, she's attractive, and now there is thought in your head. But the society again tells you that when you get some assets, it will be easy for you to get this lady. So you go get assets to solve a problem, which is a thought you created in your head. You come back, she still holds back the sex. You introduce the thought of worry, then you try to work on yourself for the hope of things will be better. But the society and women are controlling your thought, and your 5 senses, 6 senses, or 23 senses are not fully operating. They are not heightened. That is why I tell men every now and then, observe without analyzation, listen without analyzation. And then the other day asked me, how will I listen without analyzation when I need to respond to her conversation? You don't need to analyze so that you can respond. Imagine you're having a conversation with Hannah. her only intention is to get you fooled to do something for her. So trying to analyze if what she wants makes sense or it doesn't make sense. The thought itself has already interfered with your senses. And the only way to live at peace is to just want to do it or not do it when you have 5 senses present. Because the thought itself limits you or controls you. So you might even want to do it because you introduce the thought of, if I do it, I might end up getting the pleasure. But when you are operating on the 5 senses and she wants you to do something for her, but you just don't feel like doing it because you never introduce that thought in your head, you won't do it, which will eventually later on allow you to understand that you just need a woman or want a woman in your life is an added value, for you are already a full package as a whole, as Isaac without her, which now will push Hannah to start pleasing you. And that is when she will commit to you, because she will be in a feminine frame. And you still operate on your 5 senses without the control of the thought. Our senses are influenced, sometimes are controlled by how we have conditioned our mind. But that is just partial. You just need to put a hold on that. You have conditioned your mind to act in a certain way because that is how women in the society have made you believe that you need to do these things for you to earn these. You have to act in a certain way for you to get these. So you are acting on a perceived image that the society and the women created for you because you think you will get something in return. And everyone can identify your value, but that is when you are totally fucked. This is personal, but it's a message that I need to deliver. It doesn't matter. Everyone is trying to understand. I don't feel so good, but I feel good delivering this, by the way. Now, are you with me right now? Okay. I want you to pay attention to my shoes. Can you see it? You don't think so? Tell me something about it. Okay. I know someone said it's too big. Okay? It's weird. It's interesting. Why did you think about that? Why can't you just observe the thing as it is without introducing the thought? You know, with the shoes, it can be okay. But again, you are limiting or controlling your senses. But when it comes to females, that is when everything is going to crumble the quickest. Because they control how you feel. The pleasure is the control. And when she shows up and she's dressed in a certain way, let's talk about porn. When you watch it, you introduce a thought. That thought itself in it is the barrier and the controller of your 5 senses. And it limits your senses. And you can never fully be at peace. You end up worrying or wanting to do something. I have to hide. I am at work. I watched this porn. And now I want to get pleasure. Or I want to get that lady so that I can get rid of this thing that is in me. Why do that? Why punish yourself? So we introduced porn in the industry so that we can control the thoughts of men, which is doing more harm. I know you will say, but at least it will allow me not to end up sleeping around with women. Fair enough. Fair enough. What is it doing to your thought? This is one problem that most of you men are facing, and you've been asking me this question. How can I stop feeling attracted to this girl? It's the thought. The thought exists when there is desire. And the thought is what will introduce a desire and feeling attracted to her. Her showing up allows you to feel attracted to her because you have a thought And she knows that you will have a thought when she will show up. So she is controlling you and your mind. Just observe things as they are. They mean nothing. And you are going to always live at peace. I can't control myself. I always feel attracted to attractive women. Attractive women is not a thing. It's not a word on its own. It's just a word that you have given it an identity, which controls your thought. That is how the society and women are controlling your thoughts. And you're not even aware of that. Let me tell you something. You can only be fully present, and your senses can only fully function when you do not think about the present. Hear me again. You can only fully be present, live at peace, when you do not think about the present. Just be in a state of being without a thought. The moment you start thinking about the present, that is when you are not living in the present, but you are analyzing the present, which is messing up with the senses, for you have already introduced a thought in your mind to limit and control your senses. When she shows up, she is at the present. When you think about her, she is limiting you or controlling you. And she knows that subconsciously. That is why she will add a vibe and energy that will heighten your thought. And she can control your whole life. Let me hope this was enough knowledge and you can fully understand where I am coming from, even when it was a boring conversation. At least what matters is the knowledge itself.